Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Janice.
And we are Mommy Mentions. And today we are going to be talking about discipline.
Discipline. So a lot of people, we got the mommy daddy audience. So discipline, I looked it up, and the noun says the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct obedience. And the verb definition says train someone to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct obedience. To correct disobedience. So, what do you think as far as discipline? Do you think it always has to be like harsh, or?
I think it depends on like the child's age.
Okay.
Obviously, you kind of have to raise your child a certain way to get them structured, I feel like. And then depending on the child's age, it depends on what the, I guess you say punishment or how you would discipline your child would be.
Right.
I know a lot of people, I know it was like a big controversy some years back, maybe
whipping
just
your kids?
Not that long ago. I think it's still a big thing, if you whip your kids, or
you're going to get CPS called on you.
Or they're going to call the police on you,
right.
And that kind of stuff. So people were really terrified of
but then the kids knew too, and the kids was like, I'm going to call the police.
I'm sorry, but you can't tell black parents.
Call them.
They're going to call them. When I get out,
I'm going to whoop your ass.
Right? So basically, that's how it's going to go, okay? But I just feel obviously when they're babies, you try to tell them, yes, no, don't do that, don't do this.
Or the typical black person,
Yeah, that too. Don't touch that. Type of response. Or we even, and then as they get I guess you say, as they become a toddler and then they get school age, then it's more okay, you understand what you're doing.
Right.
Okay,
you're trying to see if you can push the limits.
Right.
Yeah.
So one thing that my aunt used to do to all of us, she used to make us face the wall or stand in the doorway.
Yeah.
I had my grandma's house when we were little, and she was like, you're in timeout, and she was like, you gotta go face it. So if it wasn't the wall, it would be we have to literally stand in the doorway and face that way for however long.
What?
And she didn't care if we stood up or if we sat down. She
just sit down.
Right. And so that was a punishment. So it was she never whooped us or anything like that. But that was her way of punishing us.
That's funny.
Oh, you did? Okay. You in timeout.
There was a lady at our church, a teacher at our church, and when I was in children's church, she would make you put your nose on the wall and either put your arm straight out against the wall or put your arm straight up. And you don't think it's gonna hurt, but after a good 2 minutes with your arm straight out and your nose up against the wall, your shoulders hurt so bad.
I bet you that burned.
And you would just be like, I'm sorry, I ain't gonna do it again. And you ain't gonna do it again because that must hurt.
With cans though.
Oh, my brother had
used to do that with the boys.
My brother had his kids do that, and I was like, they 4. They're 4 years old.
See, we weren't that young. We weren't that young, but she did. The boys, she would have them hold cans. Or my grandma, she would make them hold cans, or because she was a daycare mom too.
Oh yeah.
She would tell, if they didn't want to listen, she would have them either face the wall and stuff, or she'd be like, you hold that can, then they want to start crying and stuff.
See, my brother didn't really whoop my niece and nephews. He would either have them do wall sits holding cans out, or he would make them do push-ups, sit-ups. Rarely ever would he pop them, and if he did, he would pop them on the bottom of their foot. So it'd be they're running around. Oh, you don't want to sit down? I told you to sit down several times. Okay, come here, take your shoe off.
Really?
Now you have a seat. Yes. They're super light skinned too, so they bruise easily. So I'm gonna
whip.
I just pop you good 1 or 2 times on the bottom of your foot. Now have a seat.
Dang, I never would have thought on the bottom of your foot.
Yeah, girl, I was like, oh, okay.
That's different. That's different. I wouldn't have thought to see. Okay, so I can only reference how I was brought up, obviously, because DJ is still living,
right,
you know, and so obviously. My parents, it's to the point, you know how your parents put fear in you, but not in a negative way?
Yes.
But until where you'll respect them and
Correct.
You would know not to do something because you did not want to get in trouble with your parents.
Right.
So it was
that was like their
fear.
warning. It was
right.
Like, yeah.
So it was kind of like, that was kind of how we were brought up. Like, okay.
That look that your mama would give you.
Yeah, I don't play. Like, if my mom looked at me a certain way, or my dad looked at me a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Straighten up real quick.
It's like, okay, my dad ain't even have to say nothing. It's just that look. And
right.
My mom, she'll say something a couple of times, but she get that look too, and it's just like, okay, you testing them patience right now. Like, you need a chill type thing. Now, we got whoopings.
Right.
Totally. We got whoopings, period.
Well,
and
2 out of the 4 of us got whoopings. I can't speak for the middle children, but the oldest and the youngest, myself, we got the most. Which, I mean, why? I appreciate them now because, I'm good now. But at the time, I was like, they just whooped me too much. No, I needed the whoopings. I ain't even gonna lie. I needed to be corrected.
I'm just like, I got whoopings, but it wasn't. I got whoopings, and there's probably sometimes I should have probably got some whoopings and I didn't get them.
Let you slide.
But I got some whoopings, okay? And when I got ready to get them whoopings, I was not looking forward to those whoopings. And then too, because obviously I'm not super light, but I'm light enough. I used to get like welts. Like if my dad would with a bell or something like that. Or did you ever get whooped like with the white piece on the hanger?
No.
What? You never seen that, like,
I never got whooped with it, but I know what you're talking about. But I never got whooped with the hanger.
I used to whoop with those too. It's like, but it was not all. It wasn't like often. It was just like, compared to like your grandma would like go get a switch, type thing. Oh, our grandparents used to be the switch. They're the switch people.
My grandma had a vase full of switches, like a vase in her living room. The room no one was allowed to walk through. A vase full of switches. And one time, my brother right over me, we were playing with the switches and we weren't supposed to, and he hit me. That must hurt so bad.
I bet it did.
That must hurt so bad. And she was like, "That's what you get. You shouldn't be in my living room anyway." I was like, "You know what? You're right."
See, my grandma would make us go get a switch.
My parents did that.
Do not get a flimsy one, because if you got a flimsy one,
they're gonna go get it.
Mm-hmm.
My parents had us go get. You know what? I only remember one time one of us had to go get a switch. I probably blocked that out of my memory if it was me. But one of us had to go get a switch because we had this big old tree in our front yard at our old house. Mm-hmm. And after that, my mom just kept a switch on the refrigerator. Like most people got cereal boxes.
Yeah.
No, we had a switch on top of our refrigerator where none of the kids could reach it.
Handy. She was like, oh, okay.
And she would walk around the house with a spatula or a wooden spoon in her back pocket.
See, yes, those spoons. It wasn't wooden. My mom used a plastic.
No, she used a wooden spoon. And girl, she made sure she got the purses that the straps came off. I kid you not. She made sure she bought those types of purses, and we would just be like, you just want to whoop us, don't you? Like,
she was ready because she was like, we in a store.
She had 4 of us, so I understand.
Church.
I understand.
Dang. My mom used a plastic spoon though.
See,
I was talking to her earlier about it, and she was like, "Ooh, people would probably think we was abusing y'all if you tell them what I used to whoop y'all with." I think back in the day, that's what parents did.
Exactly.
And
but back in the day, like in our parents' day and age, my dad told us that everyone on his block was able to whip him. Like it was one of those neighborhood, like, oh, we take care of our neighborhood, the kids. I'm gonna watch your kids, whatever.
If I see you,
doing something, I'm gonna whoop you, and then I'm gonna tell your parents.
And you want to whoop from your parents,
exactly. Yep. And so that's how it was. So like now it's weird to me how people be like, oh, you can't whip your kids, or you're abusing them. It's like, no, I'm correcting them, because I feel like there are kids who will react differently to a timeout. Right. There are kids who will react differently to a stern talking to or telling them that you're disappointed. There are kids like that. But there's some troubled children that need a whooping. Sure. And I feel like if you don't correct it when they're young, it will just get worse when they get older. And you're not the one that's going to be able to correct them. It's going to be the law and society. Mm-hmm. And that's not what you want. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Well, because there's some parents too that don't want you to tell their kids don't do that. Right. I understand if you don't want nobody else to whoop your kids. I get that. Believe me, I understand that, because I won't want nobody else to whoop my child. No, we don't have some problems.
Don't touch my baby.
We don't have some problems. But as far as me telling you don't do that or sit down, you're gonna hurt yourself. Or that, there's some parents don't even want you to tell them that. No. Okay, so you want your child to fall? or you want your child to run out. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
If I'm saying don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, there's some parents that don't want you to tell their child anything.
And that bothers me only because I'm like, if you see my child doing something that they're not supposed to do, I expect you to be like, get down.
Because you don't want your child to get hurt.
Right. Or like, if we're somewhere, like say we're at someone else's house, I expect my child to act accordingly.
Right.
I don't expect them to be running around and bouncing off the walls. If I had a relative and my kid was doing something she wasn't supposed to be doing, you have all right to tell them to have a seat. You know, you got home trained to sit down, whatever. You know what I mean?
Because they always said, my parents always said, is how you behave in public is like a reflection of the parents.
Yep.
And so our parents will always tell us that. My parents will always tell me and my brothers that. And it's like, as you get older, you understand it. Like, oh, that is true.
Yeah.
Like, so you don't want your child running around. Like when I see these parents that let their kids run around the store, crawl underneath the
clothes and all that stuff,
crawl under the tables at the restaurants, and making all this noise.
Girl, I saw some kids last night crawl under the table at the restaurant. And I was like, get your children. Anyway, continue.
I'm just saying, like, that means that you have no control over your kids. That's how I feel. Like, your kids don't know that they're supposed to behave in a restaurant.
Right.
Or you don't take your kids out often. That's another thing, too. Because they don't know how to behave. My parents, my mom would say, if you go to church and your child don't know how to behave in church, that tells you that your child has not been in church.
Right.
They're not used to going to church. So they going to act up. They going to cry. They going to crawl underneath the pews.
They going to... Right. Just no.
And so it's like, it shows, okay, either you ain't got control of your kids or your kids are not used to going anywhere.
Right.
And that makes sense because it's either one or the other, you know? So it's just kind of like how I was brought up. Obviously, it's like times have changed as far as, and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I might do this with my kids. I might not.
Right.
You know, and it all depends, like you said, on the child, how the child reacts. So you have to discipline your child the way that you see fit. You don't necessarily have to discipline how your parents disciplined you, because that might not take the same effect.
And it might not be the same situation. Right. So like if one situation is not as extreme as the other, then maybe a stern talking to may help. Maybe a timeout may help. I always thought a timeout was you giving me the option to think about what I'm finna do next. That was me. That's probably why I got so many whoopings.
Did you say
Yes. And I was like, you know what? I can just sit here.
Okay. To think about what you supposed to do. Okay.
That's what I used to do. I kid you not.
I didn't. I used to be like, oh, I shouldn't have did that because I do not want to be sitting here. And
if I got away with a whooping, then I was cool.
See,
if I got, and that's probably why I got so many whoopings.
I was gonna say, see, that's probably why. That's what I said. I got whoopings, but I probably didn't get nearly as much as I probably should have. And I'm sure my mom watched this. She gonna be like, yeah, you probably should have got some more whoopings. And I know they always say, because you that baby.
Yeah, no.
And I'm just like,
I was a baby too, girl. I was not.
I was like,
no mercy. I'm kidding.
But but the thing about it is, I still was scared of my parents.
Right.
Like, I still knew, like,
but not
how
like
far
scared.
No,
but like
I said earlier, it was more like a respect scare. Like, I knew, oh, okay, I better stop. Yeah. I'm pushing them buttons. Like, okay, I need to listen. Okay, I need to chill out.
But I feel like it was like that with all the kids with me. So it was like certain things my brother right over me, certain things he could do, I couldn't get away with. And it was like certain things he could say, I couldn't. But there was like, it was like him. It was like, oh, all of us knew, like, oh, you know, he can get away with that. He can get away with saying that because he's going to make it a joke. He's funny. He's the funny kid.
Okay.
We do it. We be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go to my room and get ready for this whooping. Like, I can't even say that.
You already knew.
Exactly. Like, my brother would get away with, like, calling my mom by her nickname instead of mom. And if we did it, we'd be like, you know what? Probably going to get a whooping soon.
See, yeah, we never tested that like that. I think, like, I don't think we ever tested
You like,
that.
I wouldn't even try it.
You know what? My funny thing is because my cousin, he's 4 years older than me. And so, I don't know how old I was. He tells me this story every now and then. I guess he would say, he'll have me to repeat these words. I guess he was like telling me certain words to say or whatever.
I feel like I know what you're talking about.
He was just like, and then he finally told me to like say my dad's first name. And then he said, I told him, I don't say that. I was like, shut up. He was like, no, you did. He was like, you knew like how far to go.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay. Obviously, if he's 4 years older than me, I'm thinking I must have been like 4 or 5. He must have been like 8, 9, 10.
That's
you know,
funny. I don't.
He was like, yeah, I was just saying stuff. Say this, and you would say it. You say this, you would say it. He's like, I told you to say your dad's first name, and you was like, I don't say that. See,
Real
he's
quick.
like, I knew.
At least
like,
you knew. Shoot.
I'm like, I'm not playing that game. Like, no, I feel like that was like a form of respect type thing. Like, I could probably do it now because I'm older and how like joking around, like depending on what we're talking about. But I would not just clearly call my dad by his name to get his attention. No. Or call my mom by her name to get her attention.
See, I've done that before. I'd be like, mom. She not paying attention. And then I'd be like, Missy. And she'd be like, what'd you say? I said mom like 10 times. And in my defense, I said...
You got your attention.
I tried. Don't whoop me, please. I'm 26. Please don't do that. But yeah, I don't know. I think... So like you said, like it depends on the age.
Right.
And it depends on...
The circumstance.
So like here, it's basically saying like temper tantrums. You want to like nip that in the bud real quick. Because you don't want them to think like, oh, I can just do this and get my way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, my sister, when my niece throws temper tantrums, my sister will ignore her because my niece is doing it for attention. Mm-hmm. And it bothers me because I'm like, we were never allowed to throw temper tantrums, but she's a different child. Right. You know what I mean? So in order for her to come and talk to my sister after her temper tantrum, she can't be crying because we don't in my family we don't do whining at all. It's not no, stop. Gain control of yourself, breathe and talk to me. Right. So my sister would be like, are you done? Okay. So what's going on? And my niece is 4, about to be 5. So it's like, you know, she's training her that way because she don't want her to get worse when she gets older. Right. You know, like I feel like you can only ignore it for so long too. Right. Until like when it's getting out of control, you have to be like, okay, you know what, stop. Like you're done. You had your moment, you're done. You know what I mean? But like on here it's saying so like say if you have a toddler or whatever and they're like fussy, whatever, you can like offer them choices, keep your cool, nip the tantrums in the bud, and then like take a time out. So like say if you're getting frustrated, right, then you don't want to just like snap at your kids, right, because that like kids have feelings too. You don't want to just snap at them. You may, as a parent, you may need to take a time out, think about what you're going to say, think about the situation and come back and discuss it. Not necessarily discuss it, but like talk to your kids, because I feel like you said
approach
before,
the situation
right,
in a certain way,
like you said before, like you're not your kid's friend, you're the parent. So sometimes it can't be a negotiation. It has to be a mom said this, dad said this is what needs to be done. You know what I mean?
These are our rules. This is what you need to obey and follow by or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Right. So,
yeah, it's just kind of like you have to, but then like you said, you have to set the limits. Like, okay, this is where it's gonna. Okay, we're not doing this no more. Type thing. Like, and you have to figure out as your child gets older, you have to figure out. Okay, how is my child responding to me? Because you do not want your child to be afraid of you or scared of you.
Yeah, like scared.
Right. Not like when you call their name, they're shaking. Or like, you don't want that to be the case, you know? And so it's like, you have to kind of like approach things a certain way. So you like, okay, how am I going to handle this? Right. How should I, you have to figure out how your child is going to respond to things in general. And then you can kind of structure it that way. Around there. You know, because you can't say, oh, when I was younger, my parents did this to me. Well, it's not the same. Work on your child, you know? Times is different now. It's really different. Kids now are a little softer than I think they were. I think so too. And I think it has to do with society. Some of them are softer, but some of them are out of control. That is very true. Really out of control. And it's because I feel like they didn't have no structure growing up. Like, what the Bible says, train up a child in the way it should go. Yep. And so when he gets old, he does not depart from it. I know people will be like, oh, that's not always true, but 9 times out of 10, that is true.
Yeah.
I can for sure say that. Only reason why I can say that, I can just use myself as an example. I was raised up in church. That's all I knew.
Same.
I was raised up in church, and so obviously when I got to like a certain age, like teenage years, and when I hit 18 and stuff like that, especially like when they had New Year's stuff going on, you want to go to the New Year's little parties or functions or whatever the case may be, but you're supposed to be in church for,
if they had a function in church, you got to go to church,
right? Or other events, but it's like, no, that's not what you're supposed. And so you would rather be there than at the church event. But then as you get older, as I gotten older, I should say, I actually appreciate that. You know what? I didn't go to that function. I'm glad I actually was in church.
Because I probably got shut up.
That's probably true too. Like, real talk. But it's just kind of like, I appreciate that I actually was forced to still go. Like, my parents say, if you living in my house, you're going to church. We all are going to church. I don't care if you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. However old you are in my house, you're going to church. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And we were not allowed to go to nobody else's church. We ain't going to separate churches. Because my parents believed in, you need to make sure you understand who you sitting under, and that you are getting fed the right word. Like, you ain't getting fed no nonsense type thing. And so my parents didn't believe in that. We all going to the same church. We all going to church. And nobody staying home. And so it's just kind of like, I appreciate it now at the age that I'm at, because it's just kind of like, that's where, like, okay. That's where I'm like, I can go to. Meaning as far as like, I know I can pray. I know I can talk to God. I know.
I know
that's my upbringing. So that's why I said I believe that. That's why I use myself for an example.
Well, speaking of church, I know my pastor's wife used to always say, like, as far as the parents, because every time she ministered, it'd always be like about the family and mom and parents or whatever. She has always said, if you tell your child you're going to do something as far as discipline, then you need to follow through, instead of just being like, I'm gonna whoop you, I'm gonna whoop you, I'm gonna whoop you. If you keep doing this, and they keep doing it, and then you don't whoop them, then the kid's like, you ain't gonna do nothing anyway. You know what I mean? So my parents definitely followed through. Or they would sometimes give me a little grace and be like, you know what? This time, but next time, you're definitely gonna get a whooping. You know what I mean? Or some type of consequence. And she also, and this stuck with me too, because my mom has always said it, but my pastor's wife said it too. You want your kids to be able to walk into a room and not have anyone say negative things about them.
Very true. Yeah.
So like, if my daughter were to, if I was like, oh, you know what? You invited me over. That's great. Do you mind if I bring my daughter? I don't want nobody being like, because then that tells me like, I'm not doing something right as a parent. And she, people don't want to be around her, or she's, out of control or whatever. Don't know how to sit down, don't know how to listen. Now, my mom had 4 of us, and no one ever had any issues with all 4 of us coming to their house, being around adults, because we was never in adults' business, doing, playing and not being reckless and not messing up nobody else's house, going out to eat. Never had an issue with any of that. And my mom has always said, like, when we go out to eat, she would be like, people would come and be like, your kids are so well behaved. And we'd be sitting there like, this is what we're supposed to do. Like, we're supposed to be able to sit down and eat with our parents and not be running all around the restaurant. You know what I mean?
We were never into
But
that
people have literally come up to our table and be like, your kids are so well behaved. Like, you guys are such a happy family. You guys laugh and you guys are like telling jokes. Because we used to sit at the table until like dang near the place started closing, and just sit there, tell jokes, laugh, and like be cool. But you got some people that kids be having attitudes at the table and crying and screaming and yelling and crawling all over the booth, and it's kind of like no one wants to go out to have a good time and then deal with your family's or kids being reckless. Now, I can understand if they have like, some kids have autism, some kids have issues with them. I can understand that. But if ain't nothing wrong if there's nothing mentally wrong with your child,
and they just no home training,
and they just ain't got no home training, that's a different story. You know what I mean? No one wants to deal with that when they're going out at a restaurant or something like that. You know what I mean? Also, you got a message, an email, a DM about discipline? Yes. Let me go to it.
And it's kind of So another reason too, like we were discipline was actually on the list for us to talk about, but it was just kind of like when we get feedback from you guys, our followers or supporters, I should say, like we actually we're like, okay, this is really a good topic to go ahead and talk about now, because obviously this is some people have questions about it,
right?
You know, and like we say in most of our podcasts, if not all of them, we always say we don't have all the answers. Obviously, we're both new moms, but we can tell you our experiences. We can tell you what we plan to do in this situation as far as raising our children, and then try to address it, and then hopefully someone else is watching the video can actually comment and actually give some feedback in regards to the questions that we receive or what we talk about on here, and give us their point of view.
Right. So I had a friend DM me and she said, so I have a question or a topic you can use. Do you think whooping or spanking, whatever is clever, your child is a good thing for them? Because honestly, I don't feel like it causes more problems as they get older. Like I believe now, as I watch my surroundings, spanking your child too early can cause problems in the long run. That's my personal opinion, because I think I started too early and now my child is terrified of everything. And if I could, I would change some of my parenting from back then versus now. So I kind of, I messaged her back. I was going to talk about it on the show anyway, but I messaged her back and I was kind of just saying, like, basically, I was like, some children don't take whoopings, some don't take timeouts, some don't take to getting things taken away from them, and some don't take to getting talked to. I said some form of discipline though needs to be done, but if you're a parent that doesn't whoop a child until you're mad, then that's a problem. So like if you just build up, and you keep letting your kids get away with stuff, and then all of a sudden you're just mad and you're gonna whoop them, then of course they're gonna be terrified of you.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're like yelling at them and all this stuff, of course they're going to be terrified of you, because you're whooping them because you're mad now. You're not whooping them because of the consequence at this point.
Right.
And I said, but if you're a parent that is constantly telling a child, I'm going to whoop you if you do this again, but you never follow through, you're enabling the child to continue their actions because they know you're not going to fall. You're going to fall back on your word. Right. I said, I'm actually glad I got whoopings growing up. It truly made me think about all of the consequences before I did anything as I got older. So like, I understand what she's saying. Like, my kid's terrified that like I'm going to whoop her, hit her, whatever. But I feel like like my parents used to tell me I'm going to get a whooping, tell me why I'm going to get a whooping, whoop me, and then afterwards tell me why I got a whooping again and ask me if I understood. And then they would leave with, I love you. Like, I do love you, because I feel like a form of discipline is a form of love, because you don't want your kids growing up to be, I'm gonna just say bad. I never call kids bad, but you don't want your kids to grow up to be bad, wilding out, whatever. So it's like, it is a form of love, whether you, at the time your child, you don't think that they love you because they're whooping you or disciplining you. But if you do something out of anger, you're definitely going to terrify your children.
Right. But I think too, this is how obviously this is your friend, but just how it sounds and thing, I don't know how old her kids are, but then I think she's just saying she think maybe she started too soon. So depending on when she started, so I think she may be saying that she may switch how soon she started whooping her kids, which makes sense, because it all depends on the age. Because if you start whooping them when they're real young, they're really not, I don't think kids that young are really understanding or comprehending why am I getting this whooping or why. And so now it's like every little thing I do, if I'm saying stop it and they jump in because they're thinking, okay, I'm just gonna whoop it now, that may be, that's how I understood. Like, when you
that makes sense.
So it all depends on how old our kids are and then how soon she started whooping her kids. I can understand what she's saying, like how she would change that. So it all depends on, I think it depends on the age, like when you should start whooping your kids. Like, I think you should obviously start structure early on. Saying yes, no, stop, don't do that. Whatever the case may be, as far as telling them what they can do, what they can't do, so they can already understand, like, okay, I can't do this, I can't do that. And then once they start actually understanding and comprehending, okay, if you keep doing this, I'm going to whoop you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or you can't say whoop, because depending on the age, you have to say, I'm going to spank you on your bottom.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
you know, however your discipline is going to be.
Pow-pows.
Right. Or whoop, whatever the case may be, they're going to understand what that is.
Right.
You know, but it's just kind of like, so it sounds like she's just kind of like observing things now.
Right.
Kind of like, so this is kind of the messages that we like to get to kind of put out there too, because there might be somebody else out there too that may feel the same way with how they're disciplining their kids, that they may say, you know what, I should have probably changed it up from the beginning and switched it up. And if that's the case, let us know too. This is always a way to open up conversation, because she's probably not the only person that feels this way, you know. So that's why we always say, interact with us, comment, tell us how you guys discipline your kids. How soon did you start whooping your kids? Do you whoop your kids? Or do you just give them timeouts? Or do you
take things away?
What's your structure program that you have for your kids? You know,
I know for Gia, she started, I don't know where she got it from. She started falling out of nowhere, just hold back, arch.
See, DJ does that already.
But she does it when she's mad, and she does it when you may like take something away from her that she's not supposed to have, or when she gets like mad. So like we just barely like pat her diaper, like stop, and I don't think she feels it because it's her diaper, and we're not hitting her hard at all, just like a little pat, and she don't like that, so she will cry, you know, the silent cry, like you just got a whooping silent cry. She does that, and I'm like, okay, I can tell that hurts her feelings. Like she doesn't like that. So when she gets older, she may not need whoopings. When she gets older, she may need to just be talked to or whatever. Cause
just told stop.
Because my sister, she's older than me, but when my dad never had to whoop her, he would like literally be like, I'm so disappointed in you, and she would be like. Like that's what got her, you know what I mean? So it's like I feel like my daughter might be somewhat of the same way, because when she falls out or whatever, I'll be holding her, something like that, and her dad will be like, I'm gonna whoop you, my daddy gonna pop them legs. He never does it, but he's like, daddy gonna pop them legs, and she'll look at him and she'll like stop, but then she will like correct herself and she won't do it. And I'm like, okay, so she knows, my baby's smart. I'm like, so she knows that if she keeps doing this, then she's gonna get popped. But she never gets popped. It's just like a little pat on the diaper,
like
which she doesn't like.
Right.
So it's like, so she knows. So I'm like, okay, starting her off young. She's only 9 months, but like babies are smart. They understand. They understand. Like you can't sit here and tell me a baby don't understand what you're saying, how you say it, and all that good stuff. Like they know.
They look at the expressions on your face, the tone of your voice, everything. But DJ does that. He throws himself back.
Oh.
And me and Daniel was like, when did he start? And he's been doing that for a while now.
Really?
And so like we be having to like catch him, like, stop. Don't do that. And Daniel would tell him, okay, you're gonna keep doing that. Like stop doing that. Because then we have to make sure we're holding him a certain way. Because it's more
random.
Because and it's more because either he's throwing a fit because either he's sleepy, he's ready to eat, or he want to watch his show. That's usually what it is. And yes, my baby is about to be 6 months, but it's like he understands. Like if he knows where we're going on the TV, the station, he will stop his little
the YouTube
fit.
Come up.
Yes, he understands it. Like
that's funny.
And so me and Daniel just kind of like laugh, like you know, like oh my god, he is really smart. Like he knows what's like we about to put on his show. Like he'll just oh, and me and Daniel was like it's
he knows,
and it's like he really knows.
Oh,
like,
smart baby.
He'll be chill, watch his show, and act like he's probably watched the show a million times, no lie, like so serious. The same videos, but he will sit there and watch like he has not seen them at all. Like it's his first time watching it.
He said, "This is my jam, mama."
Right? Like so he does that though. He does just throw himself back and art. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I don't know where she got that
and
from.
we just tell him, DJ, stop, don't do that. And so he'll look at us, and then he'll do it again, but he'll look at us and we'll DJ, stop doing that. And so it's like, okay, stop doing. So then he realized, okay, I can't keep. Because we'll hold him a certain way and we'll tell him, look at him and tell him, DJ, stop doing it. Because DJ's usually laughing and playing and all that stuff. And so when he looks at us and he realizes, he'll go off of our facial expressions. Yeah. Like if we ain't laughing, he not supposed to laugh either. If we see that we're serious, he's looking at us like,
Oh, y'all was for real?
Yeah, he'll look at us like that, like, he'll just
That's
stare
funny.
at us, straight face and all. That's crazy that she...
Yeah, I don't know where she got it from. It's crazy.
I don't know. You know, I feel like babies just be learning stuff, like, straight up. Like, I just feel like babies are smart. Like, seriously, like you said, babies are legit smart. Like, I don't care what people say, like, oh, that's a little bit. No.
They know what they're doing.
They know, right.
To an
They
extent.
pay attention.
Right,
like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why you have to be careful what you do in front of your kids, too.
And say.
That, too. That's why it goes back to, you're not your kid's friend. You're your kid's parent. So you have to be the example for your child, because if you don't want your child wilding out, don't be wilding out in front of your child. Like, because they and don't be that type of parent. You do as I say, not as I do.
Because that don't work.
No.
That does not work. That does not work.
They don't understand that. So that's where it's like, okay, you got to be the example for your child and make sure that your child understands, like, okay, you're a child. This is what you need to do. This is how you should act. Okay, even though that mommy or daddy is a certain age, but this is how you should act when you're an adult as well.
Right.
Please don't be acting crazy in front of your kids and expect your kids not to replicate what you do. Like,
right.
As you see these videos, there's so many kids that like mimic their parents, like in videos on social media and all that stuff. And it's all cute and all fun now, but it's like, what happens when they get older and they doing that same thing, and they already cussing. So if they cussing, that means they done heard you cuss, and you probably cussing the baby out, cussing the daddy out, the mama out, whichever way it goes, your friend, whoever you cussing out, that baby done heard it. Right. And you thinking it's funny and you recording it to get some likes and to go viral. That's not cute. Like,
no, my biggest thing is when people are like, oh, my baby bad, my baby so bad, my baby bad. Why?
You bragging.
Well, for one, why are you putting that on your baby? Because I feel my whole thing, words have power,
Yeah.
Words have power. Your baby bad, baby be like 2 weeks old. And you be talking about your baby bad because he's crying? Like, he can't communicate. I don't understand.
That's the only way he can communicate.
Exactly. I don't like that. And I'm like, if you say your child is bad, that is a reflection of you.
Why is your child bad?
Why is your child bad? Why do you want your child to be bad? Why are you saying it like it's cute? Like, I don't like that at all. That is even before kids, that has always been my biggest pet peeve. People on social media, oh, my child bad, look at him, he bad, oh, he's bad, my baby bad. Not like bad as in good, like bad as in like
he bad.
A bad child.
He out of control.
Why do you want that for your child? I don't understand. Because when they grow up and they live up to your my baby bad expectations, you gonna be mad.
Yeah.
And then be like, why are you acting like that? Well, mommy, you called me bad since I got out your womb, so.
Or it's the same thing with the moms, like how you post these pictures with your babies, and then when they come home, there's like that. I'm sure you've seen it. That video where that little girl was like, I got in trouble. She got in trouble at school or something because she didn't spell juice, or she didn't know how to spell juice, and she 5 or something like that. And was it the teacher or something? I think she got the teacher a B.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't know how to spell juice. I'm 5 or something. If you know how to say B, the B word, you need to learn how to spell juice. Because that's what you drink. And I'm sure you drink juice. So I'm going to need you to know how to spell juice.
Black mamas always be like, you know them songs and them lyrics. You better know that homework.
Right?
Yes.
I'm so serious. And we're not saying this to talk bad about your parenting or nothing like that or anything like that. It's just like, obviously it went around. I'm sure it went viral. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably seen it too and probably like laughed, or some people probably was like, what?
I know.
You know what I mean? But it's just the point that, okay, this is exactly what your child is seeing you do. So that's a prime example. Right. If your child knows that word, she knows that word, it got to be from you or from the people you're around or whatever.
Or whatever you're not monitoring her watching.
Right.
Him or her watching.
And she was so serious, like, you know.
I saw this girl on TikTok. The mom on TikTok calls herself a TikTok mom. I don't know. But her 13-year-old child was like cussing out her teacher on Zoom, and the mom was sitting there recording it. And then the daughter told the teacher to blank her blank, suck her blank. And the mom was like, basically, like, she only got in trouble for saying that, but not cussing out her teachers. And she was like, well, I want her to explain why she did it. And she was like, well, the teachers, like, it's stressful on Zoom, and the teachers, I turn in my work, but the teachers don't correct it. Like, basically, she's like, I turn in my work, they don't correct it. So when I don't turn in my work, they get mad because I don't turn in my work. But when I do, they don't correct it. Like, I'm not getting a grade, basically. And I'm like, that is no reason for your child to be cussing out a grown person at all.
That child should have been going to the mom until the mom was going
The
on.
mom should have been handling that.
Been the one
exactly. But you sitting there recording her on TikTok for some likes.
Because people want to go viral nowadays. Social media has it all messed up. I'm so serious. Social media has it all messed up. And they have it painted to be like, okay, this is what's appealing to people. So since this is what is appealing to people, I'm going to do this video. I don't know why
bad behavior in a child is appealing to people.
I don't know. Hey, but you know, the funny thing about it, it's been like that for the longest time. But now there's social media, so now people see it. Yeah, so now true. It's that's like, true. Okay, this is the thing to do.
They think it's funny, and I'm like,
or they think it's cute. They think it's.
But
cute.
if it was the other way around, if you were the teacher getting cussed out by a 13-year-old, how would you feel?
I'll feel you have no home training.
I'll
be the end of that.
I don't want this child in my class anymore.
I'd end that Zoom meeting, classroom, whatever. I would exit her out of the class, out of the Zoom class, whatever the case may be. Quickness. And I would have been having a phone conversation, and I would have been like, you know what? She can be suspended for a while. That's like disrespectful. Like,
yeah, I don't understand why people want their kids to be disrespectful. It don't make no sense to me.
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense to me at all. I know people that have told their children, you don't have to listen to this person, and they're an adult. I will never tell my child that they do not have to listen to an adult. Now, you can come and ask me if the adult tells you to do something, mommy, do I have to do that, whatever. Yeah, cool. You can come and ask me. Mm-hmm. But I will never tell my child not to listen to an adult. You get what I'm saying?
Unless an adult's telling you to do something.
Well, yeah, of course. They definitely know that boundary. But right. I'm just saying, like, as far as like a teacher or like your ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, like stuff like that, I'm just like, come on now. Like, really? You are training your child to be disrespectful. And you think that's cool?
See, okay, I got a confession, I guess. See, when I was growing up, I had a mouth on me.
Me too.
I can't say I didn't, okay? And there are some times that I told some people off, and yes, a couple of them were adults, okay? And I shouldn't have did it. And that's just kind of my that was my personality. As I've gotten older, obviously I got better. But I did, you know.
I'm kidding.
You know, that's a whole other topic right there that I can go on a tangent about. But no, as a kid, like seriously. So obviously my brothers are one way, I'm one way. And I'm the kind of like not the rebel child, but I'm the one that's gonna like speak my mind. Yeah. And it wasn't always a good thing, but sometimes it was. I'm gonna be honest, because sometimes I shouldn't have said what I said, especially if I'm talking to an adult, but other times it was because the adult thought that they could just talk to me any kind of way because I was a kid, and just thought I was just gonna be okay with it, and then I was just like, nah, I'm not that kind of kid, like type response, you know?
Right.
And I would get in trouble for it, like certain times. Other times I wouldn't be, depending on the situation.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, and so a lot of times they would know Ashley gonna speak her mind. Anybody that knew, like me and my brothers, they already knew, like, okay, the boys are well behaved and they don't say nothing to Ashley gonna speak her mind. And they used to be, you know, and I used to be like, I don't care. I used to be that type of way. And then it's just like, as I got older, I'm like, okay, there's a better way for me to handle it, you know. But as a kid, I felt like, okay, you was talking to me like this because I'm a kid and you thought I wasn't going to say nothing. And what you were saying was not okay.
Right.
And so it was just kind of those situations. Like, you know.
I feel like it's always okay to speak your mind. But I feel like as a parent, you should.
I never cuss nobody out, though. Let me clarify that.
Don't get away with that.
No, I never cuss nobody out.
I think that it's always okay to speak your mind as a child. However, I think that it's the parent's job to teach you how to do it respectfully, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Not cussing nobody out. Like, not saying you did, but I'm just saying.
No, right.
Kids nowadays, like, you can speak your mind, yeah, sure. But
there's a way to do it.
There's a way to do it without being disrespectful. Just like adults don't have to be disrespectful to kids just because they're kids. Right. You know what I mean?
And I feel like some adults do that because they think they're an adult and this is a child. They can just talk to a child any kind of. You can't do that because if this is how I look at it too. If a child is being raised properly, they're going to know how you should speak to them, how you shouldn't. Right. Yeah. So if you're talking to a child that's being raised properly by their parent, his or her parent, they're gonna come at you a completely different way that you ain't used to be coming at. Like they're gonna be like, "What?
Yeah,
huh?" It's gonna be that kind of response. Like, so you have to be careful how you talk to kids too. Like, don't just think because a kid is a kid you can just talk to them reckless, because that's not okay either. It was the biggest thing, give respect type thing. And I think a lot of people think, because you a kid, I ain't got to give you respect. Are you supposed to respect? No.
But I don't like when kids say that.
No, I'm talking about adults.
No, I'm saying, though, I've had kids be like, well, they need to respect me, but I'm like, see, now you feel like you deserve that respect, but you're being disrespectful. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, you came off disrespectful, but you think you deserve respect now? Nah, that's not how that works. No, sorry. That's not how that works.
No, I'm talking about the adult when they say that to like a kid.
Yeah.
Type thing. But no, I get what you're saying. But it's just different situations, Tell us what y'all think about discipline.
Please, because I feel like we're going to have a lot. I would like a lot of feedback on this topic.
Because everybody's parenting is different. So we need y'all's interaction. We need everybody to watch this video. Subscribe, share it, because when you share the video, we can get more input.
Right.
Some of your questions might be answered because some of y'all might be wondering and may not be hesitant to ask the question. But like I said, if you ask it and we don't know, somebody else might see your question and might respond to it. Mm-hmm. And this is just us. This is the platform where we're just opening up conversation. You guys can give us information that we may not even know. Be like, oh, that's a good idea to handle something a certain way. Do you have anything else on this one?
I just had one more story and I thought it was hilarious.
Go ahead.
So one time I was riding my bike outside and we weren't supposed to go past the stop sign down the street. I went past the stop sign
around the corner
to the liquor store. Well, it was a liquor store, but it got like candy and stuff.
Right.
So I went there by myself. I didn't go. If I left the neighborhood, I was supposed to go with my oldest brother. And he was gone. And I was like, I want some Skittles. So I went, got my Skittles, came back. They was looking for me. And I came back. And my dad was so mad. He was like furious. That's like the first time I've ever seen him mad at me like that. And he was like, he gave me an ultimatum. He was like, you can either be grounded from your bike for like however long, or you can get a whooping. And I was like, wait, I get a choice? And I was so scared because I was like, I ain't never had this choice before. Should I just take the whooping? Should I be grounded from my bike? Am I going to get grounded and a whooping? Like, is it a catch-22? I didn't know. So my mom was like, what? Like, you're not going to just whoop her? But I was like, I'm too mad.
That makes sense.
So I was like, well, I guess I'll get grounded from my bike. He was like, go in your room. So I went in my room, and like 30 minutes later, he was like, I'm not going to whoop you because I'm still mad. I was like, okay. I'm in there crying, think I'm about to get a whooping. I'm not going to whoop you because I'm too mad.
Right.
And then I said, okay. And then he goes, you can either stay inside or you can go outside. I was like looking at him, and I was like, can I go back outside? He was like, yeah, but you better not get on that bike. I think my dad didn't know how to ground me because he gave us whooping so often that he was like, I shouldn't have went outside at all. Right. My mom was like, you ain't going back outside. He was like, you can go outside, but you better not get on that bike. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I dodged a big bullet because I should have got the black beat off
of me. But you know what? That was good that he did that because he done that too mad.
He's done that several times where he's like, I'm too mad. See? Like, I'm not gonna, like, Missy, go talk to your kids. Like, he's done that several times. But he won't. My dad, like, with the girls, he never really whooped us like that. Like, he would pretend with my sister. Like, he literally would be like, he'd walk in, because she was sensitive. He'd walk in the room. He's told us this now that we're older. He'd walk in the room, and she'd already be screaming, crying like she just got a whooping. And he'd be like, he said he walked out with her. My mom and was like, Missy, I didn't touch her. Like, I haven't even whooped her yet. And so he just wouldn't whoop her. Or she'll be like, but dad, I love you. And he'd be like, all right, I love you too. And never whoop her. So my sister never got whooping. Me, I tried that. I'm like, but dad, I love you. He'd be like, I love you too. That's why you're finna get this whooping. Like,
nah, he knew.
I'm the baby.
He knew.
It's supposed to be different. I'm the baby. But yeah, that day, and I told him this a while ago. I was like, I don't think you knew how to ground us because you grounded me from the bike, but then you let me go outside and play. He was like, I did, huh? Like, yeah, you did.
I think you know what? I think because he was so mad
that he just didn't want me in the house.
Right,
he probably didn't want to see me.
Right. I think that's probably why. And that's actually good.
Hilarious.
A good way to do it. Because if you're mad and you know you're that mad, I don't think you should whoop your kid right then and there.
Yeah.
And then I think by the time you cool down, you're probably not gonna whoop him anyway. It's more of a conversation.
Yeah.
You know that you should probably have too. Like. Yeah. But that's a good example of when you mad, don't whoop your kid type.
Because they was looking for me. I was in there trying to figure out which Skittle pack I wanted.
I
took too long. That's the problem.
I want that blue.
That was the problem. I took too daggone long, and I was like, I should have grab some Skittles and go.
See, look at that. You be thinking you should be real quick.
Yeah, but
let us know. Send us an email. Our email address is mommy.mentions@gmail.com. Our Instagram is mommy.mentions, and our Twitter is mommymentions. Subscribe, like our channel, share it, get these numbers up, get our subscriber numbers up. We really would appreciate it. And let's get this interaction going. Let us know. Give us your feedback on your structure and your discipline that you do with your kids. But once again, I'm Ashley.
And I'm Janice.
And we're Mommy Mentions. And we're out.
Peace.